We are in the Neuroscience of Grace series. We are, I think, on the third session, okay, and today we're going to enter into flow, okay, or grace, okay. So I want to dive into it. So I don't know when I'm going to call a dream team up, but dream team, be ready, okay? Because last time, how many of you enjoyed the dream team and what they were prophesying? Cool, huh? Okay. So let's bring them up. I might just bring them up at the end. Is that okay? Yeah. I'll bring them up as we are finishing, so don't get up and go when I finish the message because I'll be bringing the dream team up and they've got a word for you. Dream team, are you ready? Okay, all right, great. So cool. I just love the energy of this place. You know, you can just soak it up. You see, this feeling, you know, this WOW is a place that has a certain type of energy, a certain type of Christ. You see, now you get all types of Christ. You go to a church this Sunday morning, you'll find a different type of energy. Okay, and that's completely okay. All right, but there is a sense of grace in this environment. You see, that's why people find it easy to come up and dance. Like try that stunt at any other church. Okay, that Shuel tries. Go up and bring 6 people onto the dance floor. You try it out. You just try it out at any church this Sunday morning and see whether it works. Okay. They're like, what? You know, they're stiff, okay? Why is that? Because your nervous system responds to grace. Okay, your nervous system responds to grace. And so when you see this, everyone says, how come you have the freedom? I say, well, we have the freedom because we're free. You can't fabricate freedom. I've seen it. I've been at a church before I came here that they try to do the choo-choo train and the train, you know, whatever the train is that some of you start doing and going around and they try to, you know, dance or whatever it is. And they can't because the nervous system is not freed. Okay, you'll do it and when everyone's like this, the train is going around and everyone's like, what's going on, you know? Because there's not enough grace. So you start coming into WOW initially. And the initial part will be, and it's always okay. I was like that, okay? First it's like this, and then after you, let me try this hand thing. Because what are you doing with the hand, you know? Right? And then after that, this is really nice. Okay, let me hear, because the hands are the plug-in. You see, you feel everything from your hands, so you can feel the presence of God. How I know the glory changes is from my hands. Okay, I check the atmosphere from the glory. It's in the hands. It's the electric charge in the room. Okay, electromagnetic charge in the room, and then because it's your nervous system. It's your nervous system that is bringing what we call the presence. What other churches call, I feel the presence of God. Yes, that's the presence of God, but it's actually the presence of your emotions when you connect with God and how it deals with the nervous system. Okay? You can have that presence. When you go to a legalistic church, I will still have the same presence because I feel the same way inside. And the same way I feel inside is called freedom. And so you can put me in a legalistic setting and I will feel the freedom that is inside. Okay? Because that's exactly the atmosphere that is internal that comes through my nervous system. And if someone comes and stands next to me, they'll realize, oh, I feel free. You see, and that's what people feel when they come to you. They feel free. Why am I saying this? Is because just understand, guys, that if you understood what I've taught the last couple of times, I just literally told you that in an environment, okay, Felicia and Anita, please come. You can walk. I know this is a really odd kind of church here to walk through the middle of it. We might change that, not change this. We might change the location soon, okay? Because petrol is freely available, and I see that you are freely coming now, okay? So it was nothing to do with my preaching. It was to do with the petrol, which I'm encouraged, okay? So, but yeah, so we might have to change the location soon, okay? When we're planning for these things, we met up with the leaders and the coaches and all that, and we got plans for you, okay? Now, anyway, to move on, just to tell you, just understand that why you feel free in this atmosphere, and you need to absorb that freedom, because that's the same freedom you need to take to your workspace. It's the same freedom that you need to bring into your marriage. It's the same freedom that you need to bring in a relationship. Because if you bring that freedom there, everything works. It's smooth, it synchronizes, it's grace, it's flow, okay? The neuroscientists call it flow. I'm doing something with a neuroscientist that I really, really honored for a long time, and I'm able now to work with him, and it's called Flow Research Collective, okay? And they teach a state called flow. And this state called flow is the state where the batsman hits the ball without even seeing it. You know, you see it happen. You know, and we call it timing. It's when the musician starts playing his instrument, and musicians will know this. And they say they call it being in the pocket. Suddenly, jazz musicians will notice, Naomi's not here, but some of you will understand, where they had to improvise. And you can only improvise when you get into the flow of the music, and suddenly you're there. It's what I call the prophetic. You see, with the zone, the prophetic, what I call the prophetic is I come here and then patterns open up to me everywhere, and then you see me prophesy, bang, 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 bang. It just becomes so easy because I'm in the flow, I'm in grace. It's what happens to Fiona when she's running, and no one can keep up with her because she's stepped into a zone and then she's running. Dallas will notice it happens when you're shooting, especially when you're skeet shooting and stuff like that. You suddenly get in the flow, and then everything, you're not even aiming, you just pew, pew, pew. And it's working, okay? How do you stay in that optimum place? It happens to me in business all the time. It's been in this last season. It's been like every single business deal I do works. Like to convince someone is easy. To convince him $100 million, $1 million is the easiest. Like $1 million, give me $1 million tomorrow. Like, yeah, for sure, of course. How much? $1 million? Yeah, no problem. And they just give it. It's like it's been so easy to do it. Okay, why? Because it's been like that now for me with finances for quite a long while. But it's that state of grace that I'm talking about. And grace is a state. Okay, and the last couple of times that I spoke with you, I was speaking about deploying the law to get into grace. That you can deploy the law to get into grace. So the law can be a catalyst for you to jump into grace. Okay? Or it can be, you can deploy the law to deter yourself from certain things. Why do you deter yourself? Like, you deter yourself using the law because that area that you were immersed in, and that the Bible, when the Bible talks about the law, please understand, it's not talking of just the law of sin. It's 615 commandments. Only 200 odd of those commandments had to do with sin. Everything else had to do with lifestyle. All this stuff that we do with masks and touching and cleaning and washing and all that has to do with lifestyle because they wanted their people well. So they use the law as a deterrent so that they will step into grace, which is wellness, immunity. You see? So the 615 commandments and the law was used for different ways. One as a catalyst for a community to grow. One as a deterrent. And those are the laws that we most Christians talk about, 250, but there's only about 200 of them. The rest were all catalysts to get you into a state of grace. Did you just get that? Okay? You need to understand which one you're using at what time, in what way. You need to understand what are the laws that you put as a catalyst. What are the laws that you put as a hindrance? You see, I don't keep, now they do, because I've been in a state of grace, okay? But those days, I would not keep peanut butter in my fridge or chocolate in my cupboard. It's very hard to get chocolate. You have to go out and buy it. Why? It's a law as a hindrance. But I'll leave my shoes, my running shoes at the bottom. My running, I have a, what is it called? What runner is it called? A air runner, okay? I'll keep it closest to me where I'm sitting. Why? Because I can immediately, anytime I feel like it, I can just jump on it, sometimes even on a sarong, and just do a couple of, because I believe in movement to keep you fit. Even 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're there, I'll jump on it twice. Okay? So, keeping my shoes, not taking my shoes and putting them back in the cupboard like some people would do, my running shoes, okay? Pradas can be in a cupboard, running shoes outside where you run. That's a law. You see? And you use the law as a catalyst. Did you just get that? So what I've been talking about is how to optimize your environment. In the last couple of times, how the Jews optimized their environment to be the richest people on the earth. Because they had a thing they did with finances. They would tithe their finances. They have very good best practices and habits for their economy. That's why the richest people in the world, from Google to Facebook to you name it, it's all Jewish. Because the culture had used laws as deterrents and as catalysts. And they've understood how to use in a way that would take them into a place of flow of grace. You see what I'm trying to say? Jesus was falling in the narrative of a Jewish paradigm. Hello? Jesus was not doing something new. Jesus was falling in the narrative of a Jewish paradigm. They knew that constantly and continuously. Elijah went up the mountain to die. Moses went up the mountain to die. You see, he's just following after the law and the prophets and being able to establish it for you in the New Testament to understand, first the tutor comes, and then after the tutor comes, you can use the tutor as the tutor so that you can step into death and then resurrection or flow or grace and then resurrection. You get what I'm saying? There's a cycle. Grace is a cycle. So the whole thing of last couple of sessions, and listen to it very carefully, I'm showing you that if you have an environment where there is willpower and conscious choice, okay, and that's what you're using of willpower and conscious choice to win, you will lose. That's all I was teaching you. I was saying, no, environment will always win over willpower and conscious choice. Always. If I have booze in my cupboard, and I'm an alcoholic, I'm going to drink. If I go out with friends who drink, I'm going to end up drinking. Willpower will not win over something like that till you step into grace. Grace doesn't mean you go back to drinking. Grace means that what you intended to do, you have grace now to transcend the natural limits, and maybe you'll drink once in a while, but that's not the point. The point is that you are free from drinking. You see? The grace is not to be drinking. You didn't start off intending, I want to stop drinking so I can drink. I want to stop drinking because it's detrimental to my health. I want to stop eating the wrong types of food because it's detrimental to health. So I will keep chocolate and pasta and all these things far away. Okay? And that's the law. Why? So that I can step into grace, so that I can eat chocolate and pasta once in a while, but that's not the point. The intention was to free yourself from pasta and chocolate. You got it? The intention was that. You see? Naomi shaking her head like, no. She needs to be delivered. You see? That was a friend of mine asked me a question, and the question was what about a person who is a person who is addicted to sex? Are we going to tell him grace? Okay, or you say, no, the idea is now that you can step into grace, now that you're in the law. The idea is, no. The idea is to get out of being addicted to sex. You see, there was another person who told me that they're not in a relationship anymore because their lifestyle when they were young, they were playboys or whatever they want to call it, and they didn't want to destroy people's lives, so they don't want to now get into that type of thing again. I'm like, yeah, that's a law that you use so that you can get into grace. The grace is that you're out of it. Now you don't have to keep the law. There's no struggle to keep the law anymore. You're free. You're looking at the bottle of alcohol. I'm free from the bottle of alcohol. I don't feel like having it. You get what I'm trying to say? The idea is not to go back to drink the alcohol. I hope I've cleared that out. Okay? Because people think, I'm going to stop smoking so I can start smoking more. That's not what I'm saying at all, please. Okay? I'm talking of the grace to be able to be free. You get it? Now, in saying that, this is important to understand because I'll show you this, that grace is a state. Grace is a state. And what do you mean by state? It means that there is a process to grace. You have to how do you get to grace? And so in neuroscience, they talk of it as the beginning is a struggle phase, they say. You'll be struggling. And from a struggle phase, you come from a struggle phase to a release phase. Okay? And from a release phase, you come to now this is all neuroscience. And they say, then you come to, so from struggle phase, they say the brainwave states are beta. You're constantly checking out, you're a very critical thinker, your frontal lobe and frontal cortex is very active in these parts, okay? And it's executive and critical, okay? And then, so from there, then after that, from the struggle phase, you get to something called release, okay? And that's when they call it transient hypofrontality, not hypo. Transient hypofrontality is when you leave the struggle and suddenly, if you can knock this guy out, and that's what, if you notice how I developed the prayer cards, the Luminous Tablets, is for you to get transient hypofrontality. It's directly from this understanding that I understood a Japanese woman who did this long time ago, and how they focused on getting you into oneness. If you can leave the critical thinker, which is in the frontal lobe here, okay, the neocortex here, you can leave him alone, you go straight into oneness, and you feel one with everything. And that's when the batsman, he's hitting the ball, but he's one with the bat. He's not looking at him. You're cycling, you're one with the cycle. There's no difference between the cycle and you. Suddenly you become one. You see, the musician is one with the organ or the piano, and it's one. You get it? When I come and prophesy, when I'm in my peak, I'm one with the person, so therefore I know. You see? So with miracles, healings, everything is the same. So there is a struggle phase, and then there's a release phase, which you leave the struggle phase and you jump into something called release, which is switches from transient from the neocortex or the frontal lobe, bang into the full brain. Okay, and that place is called release. Okay, and after that, they say after release you get flow. Okay, and after flow you have to recover. That's the cycle of what they call flow. Now let me tell you that these guys didn't pick this up from neuroscience. It is in every religious practice you can imagine, and it is in a much more advanced teaching in the New Testament and the Jewish paradigm. The same phase. You see the struggle phase, okay? It's the law, where people are constantly having to do. They're struggling to do something. No matter what they're doing, they are under the law to do it. So if you want to stop drinking, you're first starting, it's hard, you're trying. You put the law as a deterrent. Okay? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Okay, if you have to get something done, if you're trying to get into a good habit of praying, then you have to constantly pray every single day. You can't suddenly expect grace to come for you to know how to pray. You will have to constantly pray. Do you understand? And then you're praying or you're meditating. When people meditate is it sounds so simple, but you try and do it. Like try and be on your own, watching your thoughts. And you realize there's a struggle phase, there's a loss, but you have to get up every day, 8 o'clock in the morning, at that time, exact that time, and do it at that time. If you want to exercise, you'll have to get up at that time and do it at that time. And then, after getting into it, the law as a tutor, the Bible says, okay, the next state of that is the release phase. And so that's what I call the place of death or the place of faith. And it's in the Bible. There's the law, and then, but the beauty of the Bible, it makes the law and faith, or the law, or works and faith, and works and death are put together right in the beginning, before you get to grace. So you can do the law, and you can say, I'm trying to stop this, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to get this done, I'm trying to get some finances, I'm trying to work. Okay, keep going, go to work every day. You can't tell me I've stopped working and I'm believing in grace. No, you had to get to work every day. I hope you're at office at 8 o'clock. Could be, there's nothing to do at office. Just shut up and get to office. I've been there. I go into my office and there's jack. Have you been there? You're looking at your table, you're looking all around you, there's nothing to do, there's no work. But what did I do? I would get to office every single day at 8 o'clock. That's all it takes for your nervous system to understand what's going on. That's the phase. Fulfill the law. Don't worry. And as you start doing it, and as you start doing that, the next phase of that is that once I see that you are doing it, you come and say, Kavi, what do I do, man? I'm trying. Okay, I'll say, it's time for you to die. Okay? And what does that mean? It means it's the process of grace. There is no grace without death. So now you've been trying, but you need to have a resurrection life. You need to be new in that area. Because it's a quantum leap, it's a quantum jump. It's not the same atom. It's a completely different molecular structure. You know what a quantum leap is, right? It's when an electron jumps from one atom to a completely different molecular structure. That means it happens to me when I'm exercising, or it happens to me when in different areas of my life, where I realize in my finances, different areas, in my influence, you realize there's a quantum jump. I'm not struggling with that situation again, like before. I'm completely new, I'm resurrected. But how do I get to be resurrected? I was first under a tutor, under a guardian, under the law, okay? And I kept doing that. And after that, what happened was, I died. So the two are together. As you work, and death comes together. The law and death comes together. And you'll realize that after a little while of working, you will die. And that release phase is a phase that many people, why they fail, and why they're constantly in the struggle phase. And they're constantly working, because they don't trust in faith. And the release phase is the most important part of spirituality. Any type of mystical experience of spirituality, you don't get there without death. It's the death of the ego. The man who was trying, the formula that you used, you need to die to that formula that you use. Or this is the way I earn money. Good. Do you know how to do it well? I've done it all my life. We're good. You've been in the law, now die. Okay? You have to get to the release phase. And people don't value this phase. And that is why they never actually die. They try to get from works straight into grace. And it can never happen. You need first work. And once you understood, I'm very good at this, but Kirby, it's not producing like that anymore. I'm doing this, but it's not producing anymore. Why? Because now you need to face your death. Why? Because you know that so well. Why? Because you've been doing it like that so well. And now it's the death of you. Death of who? The same guy who did all those things. You see? So that you never have to do those things in that way again. So what happens is that the struggle phase or the law phase becomes less and less and less. You got it? The struggle phase becomes less. So not that it's not there. Now when I have to pray or prophesy or go into miracles, healing, signs, wonders, finances, all these kinds of things, it starts with that phase because the plane has to take off from the ground. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You have to hit the ground, but the runway is much shorter now. Because I have mastered what release looks like. You see, so the runway is much shorter. So what someone takes 1 kilometer to take off, or working to take off, okay? For me, it will take me 1 meter. But you'll find it in exercise or running or whatever it is. You'll find the same thing. If you're exercising, initially you started so hard, your body is hurting. After 1 week, 2 weeks, you'll realize, wow, immediately I can run, I can push. What happened? Because in the law itself was your death. And from there, that's why it's built in together. And from there, you hit the state called grace and flow. Okay? And that grace and flow place is a phenomenal place because everything starts synchronizing together. Everything starts synchronizing together. And when things start synchronizing together, you're like, oh, wow, this is awesome. But after that phase, there's another phase. And it's called resurrection. And what the neuroscientists they call it recover. But what they don't go, that's why I said this is much more advanced, is once you have gone through the process, when you actually recover or you are then restored or resurrected, you're a new person. You're not the same runner that ran before. You've hit a new dimension. You see, any sportsman will understand this process. Like once you get to one dimension, once you start earning money at a certain level, you're never the same person again. When you've seen $1 million, it's different. When it's easy to make $1 million, it's very different. The way you look at making $100,000. So it's resurrection. But then from there you get to hit $5 million. It's different. You see, and you'll have to go through the same process. And if you don't use it, if you don't deploy it, if you don't understand it in the process, if you get frustrated at the law phase and say, oh, why am I doing this? Why do I have to do it like this? And if you get frustrated there, you will never get to release. And you'll struggle for the rest of your life. And you'll always be in the same level. You will never have a new molecular structure or life or a resurrection life because you're constantly under the law. Do you just see that? Okay, I hope you're getting this. Can we read some Bible? You guys are very, very quiet. Yeah. Has this helped you? Okay. Right. So if you can use and deploy the law in the way I'm telling you, you would become an expert at everything you do. Because you need to understand application of the law, using it as a tutor, and then after that, how do I release? How do I die to the very law? Paul says, if I now try to establish the very thing that we built before, what am I trying to do? I won't build again where I started from. You see, I don't have to start again thinking of how do I earn 100,000 rupees a month. I don't have to think again, how do I cycle? Because they say once you learn to cycle, you know how to cycle. I don't have to learn to cycle again. Because you have been resurrected. Now you know to cycle. Do you understand it? And that's the last fourth stage of it. Because not only did you get under the law, not only did you work, not only did you struggle, you release, then you died. Okay, the release and died, they are the same thing. And then you get into this state of grace, and afterwards you realize that you're resurrected. Okay, you're like, wow, I never had to be in that place again. I'm free. You see, I'm resurrected, I'm a new person. But that doesn't mean that in the next thing that you try to do, you won't have the same cycle. You understand that? You don't get frustrated just because you get into something else and say, oh, I'm just frustrated. It's like, no, this is the process. And as you know that process, that's the process that Jesus went through so that you can see that you need to go through the same suffering and the same pain and the same thing. Not as he did, but in your walk, you will have the same motive and the same pattern of Jesus' life. You get it? It's a motive, it's a pattern that you're looking for. So we'll go into Romans, and I'll read it to you from Romans. Okay, here's Romans. Romans 4, it's just amazing. Romans 4 is about how Abraham got a child. Okay, it's a mind-blowing story. Okay, and if you look at the Romans 4, the whole passage is you see this process. You see with Abraham and the child and how he got the child, you see the process. The law, the struggle, okay? Then you'll see the faith, the death of it, okay? When he starts praying for Abimelech's children, that he will have children, okay? The one who attacked him. And then you'll see straight off from there, then suddenly he got the child, but then he knew something better, that every stage goes to the next stage. And suddenly he took the same thing that he has got now, and he offered it into the struggle and into the death so that he can have more. You see, because it's a quantum experience. It means it goes from one dimension to the next dimension. Just because you have grace in this dimension doesn't mean that you'll have grace in the next stage of your life. If you don't master this one, if you don't master the law in this one, the struggle in this one, if you don't master the release in this one, and if you don't master, okay, what is it like to be in the grace and the flow of this, and then the resurrection of this, and then the next one, next season, and the next time is you have to offer the same formula that you have, the very formula that you have learned, are the formulas that you did 2 years ago working for you in your finances? Are you working the same way you worked 1 year ago? No. And that's, one of the biggest mistakes business people make is they try to use the same formula they used 2 years ago again with a new client. And it goes all wrong. It didn't work. Because you can't use the same formula again and again, because that was good for that time. You have learned from it. You've grown from it. You have been raised from it. You were successful. That means you were resurrected from it. Now you don't apply it because you're free from it. If you use it again, then we are going to go back into the same level of struggle. You understand that? Now, I'm just going to read this so that it's very clear in Romans, okay? Here it is in Romans. Where is it? In Romans. That's why I said I don't want to get too much into neuroscience of this, because I don't want to lose you all. Okay, as you're talking about dopamine and serotonin and all this kind of stuff, and transient hyperfrontality and beta state and alpha state and all this kind of, but there's all brainwave states to this whole thing, You go from beta state and ultimately you get into theta state. But you need to understand that this has been now studied so well that this is the way humanity works. This is how humanity succeeds. And you see it constantly in the Bible in a much more advanced way, because it brings on the rest phase, not even the rest phase, it brings on the phase where you are recovering as a resurrection phase. Because you don't really recover, you're a new person there. You got all the skills that you learned from your struggle, okay? All the skills that now become you, it's somatically involved with you, and you are a brand new person. And therefore, when you talk about recovery, it's actually a resurrection. Because say you wanted to train for a marathon, or train to stop yourself eating a certain type of food. I'll tell you a story, okay, about this that will really set it for you. It's a neuroscience story, but I've said it before. There's a lady called Alia Crum, I think, in Stanford. She puts 2 milkshakes. Okay, have you heard this milkshake test? Yeah, it's really interesting. But when you understand how the science works, the milkshake has 300 calories each. Both has only 300 calories. Okay? But on one milkshake, she says it has 800 calories. On the other milkshake, she says it has 150 calories. One, she says, is a diet shake, okay? And the other, she says, is a ice cream sundae, or whatever the heck it is, okay? Now, and she keeps it, and she literally, there's a hormone in your body called ghrelin. Just understand this. I'm just getting a little deep here, so hold on to your seats so that you can just understand this. Because the science explains this story. So there's a hormone in your body called ghrelin, okay? And ghrelin makes you more hungry. And it also is involved in storing your fat or releasing your fat. Ghrelin, okay? Right? Now, interestingly, what happens is, now she's measuring the amount of ghrelin that comes in your body depending on what milkshake you've taken. So remember, one is ice cream sundae. Actually, they're all the same. But one is ice cream sundae. One is something that shows that it's a diet shake. 150 calories or something like that. If you can ever get a milkshake at that. It's a good milkshake, okay? Right? So just understand, after 1 week or whatever it is, who do you think puts on the weight? Think about it. One with ice cream sundae, the thing is ice cream sundae, with a lot of calories. One with no calories. Yeah. But they actually have the same amount of calories. Okay? It is a test. And they check the amount of ghrelin. What ghrelin does, whether it will store fat or release fat. Which one do you think puts on the fat? Huh? Come on, tell me, come on. How many of you think it's ice cream sundae? Raise your hand if it's ice cream sundae. Raise your hand. If it's ice cream sundae, we'll put on more fat, right? Okay. How many of you think that is the other one? The diet one. The diet one will put on more fat. The diet one will put on more fat. Yes. The diet one puts on more fat. Okay? That's surprising. And it changes the whole model. Why? Because watch what's happening. When people go for the diet one, it's generally people who are under the law. It's people who want to put themselves under the law. They know that they are putting on weight or there's something like that, and they thought, look, I need to eat clean. And so they're eating their vegetables, but they don't like vegetables. They're drinking, they know that Diet Coke doesn't taste the same as Coke. They know it. But they pay money and buy it. Expect them to lose weight. But they don't like Diet Coke. You see, they go to a buffet table, and you have all the roasted food and the fried food and all this, but they will force themselves, and they will have the greens. Okay? But guess who puts on the weight? The guy eating the roasted food and the all naughty stuff, or that guy. The guy who's on the diet. They put on more weight. Okay, now this should... Okay, so we're in big trouble, right? As you can see. Okay. Okay, so what needs to change? Okay, now we're going to apply everything I told you now to this simple test. Okay? What's happening to this person who's eating the greens? This person doesn't like greens. This person has been told, you are putting on weight. You are unhealthy. So they are doing it out of understanding of the law. Okay. How does this person now get out of it? That doesn't mean, please understand, fried food is good for you. Please understand. I'm talking of weight. I'm not talking of cardiac arrest. Okay? There's a massive difference. Okay? I'm just putting on your weight. Okay? Right. Now, I have to qualify that. Other people, yeah, my God. Okay? Okay, international, all Americans. Okay, I'm not talking of cardiac arrest. I'm talking of weight. Yeah, about world. Yeah. Yeah, America is a big country. Okay? Now, let's put it like this. This is important to get, okay? You see the way that person can convert this. Now, we are applying everything we taught here. So the person is under the law, and therefore, it's the struggle phase. So they're eating greens every day, but they don't like greens. You understand that? They're trying to, exercise every single day, but they don't like exercise. They really hate it. But they're doing it. But after a little while, unless this happens to you, nothing will happen. Unless you like greens. That's what changes the test. You see? Because what they took is what they liked. The other guys, the Ice Cream Sunday. They're not trying to go on a diet. They just like it. Unless you convert what you don't like into what you enjoy and like, you're completely reconciled with your deterrence. So enjoy is the most awesome thing you can do. Eating greens is what your palate loves. When you can go before a buffet and you love your greens. As that happens, you step into your death at one point, and from there, you step into grace. And from there, you are a new man, because greens change your DNA. Okay? And that's real. Okay? That really happens. Your DNA changes with greens. Very few things that change your DNA. Okay? So literally, what happens is you step into a new person when you can change your conscience. Come on. You see, you need to love the fact that you are in a struggle. The way you get the $1 million or you make the money is when you say, oh, this is that place, the struggle place, the process. I love this. Let's do this. I need to work every day. I need to get to your office every day. I need to make sure that I call the person on time. I need to make sure those emails go. I love the grind. I'm not cursing the grind. Suddenly what happens is, you're free. Because it's your death. To love it is your death. To love it is your death. You step in your death and then grace. Come on, man. And then it starts working for you. You get what I'm trying to say. And then you become healthier. And everything starts happening because you step into grace. And then guess what happens? It's the time that now you recover, or you are a new man. You are completely resurrected after that. Did you just get the process of it? You can't cheat the system. You have to love the fact that you are now doing this because this is good for you. So that phase of frustration where you call the law and struggle and all that, and when we say, okay, you got to stop drinking, you got to love the fact that I've told you to stop drinking. You got to love it. You got to say, whoa, I have to stop drinking, because when I stop drinking, I'm going to get healed. And that's your death. That's the release. You jumped off the cliff. You see? When I say, get to work, are you sure you're getting to work? Are you doing your work? Are you making, no, there's nothing to do at work. Just get to work every single day. Don't worry about it. Find yourself a job. I said, people want big jobs. I want 500,000 rupees a month, 1 million rupees a month. I said, find a job that can pay you something. Like, I went to a job, I went for 5 interviews. Why didn't you take the job? Why didn't you take the job? Is because I didn't take it because they didn't pay me. I don't care what it pays you. How much did he pay you? 70,000 rupees. I was getting 250,000 rupees at the other place. It doesn't matter. Take the job. As you take the job, and then you like going to work, you accept the struggle. What happens is suddenly that job you get promoted and you get paid 250,000 rupees, or you get a new job. Because there was law, which is your death, and you stepped into grace and then resurrection life. Did you just get that? Yeah? Okay, I promise you I'm going to read you some scripture with this. So let's read it. Okay? It's in Romans 5. Okay, are you ready? Dream team, are you ready? Okay. Verse 2. Chapter 5, verse 2. Romans chapter 5, verse 2. Okay, verse 2. So it says, through whom also we have access by faith into his grace. So how do we step into grace? By faith. Remember, the release phase after the struggle is faith. When you jump off the cliff, it's faith. You see? So there, you see, how do we access this grace? By faith into his grace, which we stand and rejoice in the hope of glory of God. And not only that, but we also glory in, you see, what in tribulation? You're running away from tribulation? Or you're talking about your tribulation like a glory? We also glory in tribulation, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance, character, and character, hope. Wow. And hope does not disappoint. You see what I'm trying to say? You go into James, you see the same thing in James. I'm going to show it to you in James. Just turn to James, and James chapter 1, one of the most phenomenal chapters you can ever read, and it's here. Grace is a state, and you have this process to get there. You can't short-circuit the process. You have to go through the process. You can make certain places smaller. Do you understand that? That means like the struggle phase or the law phase, you can make it shorter if you know you've done it before. So you'll know every time. Do you know that I went bankrupt 3 times in my life? Absolutely bankrupt. When I don't have a car, when I tell you that people, the seizing companies came and took my car off from the road, okay, on that level. No money to pay my staff. 3 times, I went completely bankrupt, okay? All 3 times, it became easier and easier and easier. So when I hit the second time, I was like, oh, I've done this before. I'm like, okay, what do I learn, okay? And I could make my struggle phase shorter and shorter and shorter. On the third time, it was the worst one. The third time was much bigger. It was like, the first one was 30 million, 40 million. The second one was 60, 70 million. The last one was like 120 million bucks. This is 25 years ago. Okay, you can 120 million bucks, 25 years ago, a lot of money. Okay, 125 million, the last one, and I was like, it was gone. I had no money. But the struggle phase, by this time, by the third time, I was excited. The second time I was learning. The third time I was like, you're here again. Yes, I can do this. I know this so well. I know the struggle phase. I know what it's like. I know, and that was so short, and boom, the flow state came flooding in because I knew that I had to go through the process. And now, every time I hit a business deal, I go through the same phase, that same phase that took months and years. I do it in literally minutes. But I go through the same phase. Believe me when I tell you, like, when you're running, or if you do a 1 hour run, and if you do a long run, if you do a 20-minute run, you might fail only one phase. But if you do a long run, you'll realize that you'll enter into that phase 2 or 3 times. The full process. So when I'm struggling again, I start walking. Okay, long run. I start walking because I know, okay, it's a struggle phase. I'm just struggling. And the walking is the release phase. Okay, that's a faith. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start running at 5:30, or I'm going to do 5. I did it yesterday, I'm going to start running at 5:30. And so I'm walking because now I struggle, and it's my release. Okay, it's a time that I'm going to have faith now. And then I start again. And this time I got my 5:30. I'm in flow. You got it? Okay. Now, James says it like this. Too fast. Well, too fast today. Okay, my brothers, Philip has given me permission to go on for a long time. Okay? It's his fault, okay? Because he said, Kirby, we finish church very early. Those days we just do 2-3 hour meetings. Why are we finishing like this? Yeah? And do I have consensus on this? Yeah? Do I have consensus? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Because it's important that we really get this. Some people say no. Okay. Okay. Stand up, you're going through the struggle phase. Yeah, okay. Yeah, even this, you go to the struggle phase, trust me. Okay, you come and listen, what the heck is he talking about? Have you felt that feeling? What the heck is he saying? You keep coming, struggling, you're like, oh, now I get it. You're in flow. Welcome to grace. Yeah, okay, now. My brothers, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. Did he say be sad? No, the same thing. Glory in the tribulation. You see, that's your death. That's the cross. That's a release. Knowing that the testing of your faith produces, here we go, faith or patience is there. And let patience have its, you see, they are explaining the stages of grace so well. You see, because knowing, when you go into the struggle and the law, just know, good, let's do this. Count it a joy when you fall into all these things. Why? Because the testing of this faith or your patience is a perfect thing, okay? The testing, it says the testing of your faith produces patience, you see? But let patience have a perfect. Say perfect. Perfect means that it's going to be so good that you may be perfect and say complete. And see this place here, lacking nothing. You see, the idea is go like, whoa, I've entered in. You see, I've entered in. Why? Because I have to go through these stages. And now I love the fact that neuroscience has really made it into a science. And they say, my God, if you can use these exact words, constantly and continuously in your life, in everything that you do, if you can model it and know that it's all built in, it's a built-in system of how humanity works. He says, you can step into this place of perfection, maturity, and grace. And then it goes on, this is so good, okay? If you read the chapter of James, it explains a very advanced version of what I'm learning with Stephen Kotler and that group. But it's a much more advanced version. And when I see this one, I'm like, wow, what we got as an inheritance from God when we got the word is awesome. If we really can understand it and be really not I told Fiona, I said, Fiona, the problem with Christians today is that they want to see Jesus only in the Bible, okay, but they don't want to see Jesus anywhere else. You see? And they say, show me Jesus in the Bible, but you don't want to see Jesus in science. You don't want to see Jesus in work. You don't want to see, they're caught up in the pattern of only here. So I said, unless they do Thu Wa-Bohu and let go, they won't see Jesus everywhere else. Why I say that is why I can see it in the Bible in the way I can see the Bible. Someone else won't be able to put it together. They'll keep science separately and they keep Bible separately. But why I can see it is because I'm dissociated from patterns. You see? And if you look at the story and the life of Jesus, you find the science of power, authority, and grace. Come on, Dream Team, come up. Let's do this. Guys, okay. Yep. Here is the prophecy for you guys, okay? Okay? This is a prophecy for every single person who steps into this church. We pray for you every single day, okay? And we pray that you will be protected in this season in such a way that you will be a testimony. When there's destruction coming all around you and people are closing their businesses and having no favor and having no business and people are saying there's a lack, you will be a person, you'll be a testimony and a light and a testimony to them saying, I have so much of work. Honestly, I don't feel a lack at all. God has been really good to me. And you will say, come to WOW. God bless you guys. I'll see you on Tuesday.